Hello guys, today I won my 50th professional victory. Special day. For this occasion we made a selection of my best victories. Enjoy.
The breakaway were quickly swallowed up by the leading peloton, which also contained stage contenders Sagan and Viviani. The chase group desperately trying to scramble across, but they were unable to match the firepower of the teams up front: Movistar, Bora, De Koenig and Ineos. Pinot and co set to lose over a minute as the remaining sprinters shuffled into position for the final dash to the line in Albi.
Caleb Ewan starts to step out. Wout van Aert in yellow, Viviani in blue. It is Philipsen in white. Viviani, Wout van Aert, Viviani, van Aert! The triple world champion in his first appearance has won it to a stage. Wout the Magnificent.
800 metres then of climbing. What's he going to do? Fuglsang is not on the front. Wout van Aert is setting the pace, and Greg van Avermaet just watching the race and riding exactly his own race at the moment. Max Schachmann as well just restores calm at the front of this race. That will allow Formolo and Bettiol, the two Italians, to come back in. Now Van Aert goes. Wout van Aert, you can see the corrugated ridges all the way up this climb just make it so hard, but this man is a cyclocross champion of the very, very highest order, so the road surface absolutely plays to Van Aert's capabilities and his self-belief and his physical form, despite that injury in 2019, is awesome. Van Aert has opened up a big gap and Bettiol is trying to respond, and Schachmann as well moves past Fuglsang and Formolo, who are in danger of just losing a few positions though. It's between Van Aert and these three for the win. And at the moment, they're getting absolutely nowhere. Schachmann leads Formolo around that hairpin now, a little bit of flat, and then turning into Siena, and up the road they go. Big wide roads here. Van Aert just disappearing. He's time trialing himself away. What a versatile rider. He's got 500 metres to the finish line and only about 150 metres before the road flattens out and he turns right-handed and he can start to coast home and to analyse his celebration. One check over his right shoulder just to see that all is in order and that no one is anywhere to be seen. He's done the hard bit and now all he has to do is ride through the centre of Siena. He rode away from a very, very select group of riders on those famous white roads. He made them his own, and he's made this race his own. Wout van Aert, the man who has bossed cyclocross until the advent of Mathieu van der Poel, comes to road racing and takes his biggest win bar none. A fantastic ride by a great champion as Wout van Aert. His dream goes into fulfilment, and he finally has Strade Bianche. On the steepest section of the Poggio. There's a big reaction. It's Vincenzo Nibali and he's drawing out Julian Alaphilippe. And Wout van Aert is there, and so too I think is Mijak Kwiatkowski. This is the moment where the big stars of the race come and show themselves, and none bigger, of course, than Julian Alaphilippe. His attack, now, he launches himself up the Poggio. He goes past Damien again as if he wasn't there. But Alaphilippe looks round and guess who he sees right on his wheel? Wout van Aert. Over the top he goes. It's the tight left-hand turn that he takes now, and he takes it with a gap over Wout van Aert. He cannot hang around. He must attack this descent. Wout van Aert will absolutely fly down this descent, and be interested to see which of the fast finishers are still in contention in this group, because this race is far, far, far from done. But Julian Alaphilippe has done what he had to do. Just watching a horrible, hair-raising replay there. As Alaphilippe continues to descend, but not quite with the same full-blooded intent that he was when he was trying to gap Wout van Aert. He's been caught, and this race is going to come back together again.
It looks like it.
7 seconds, 1.2k to go. Wout van Aert risks to look backwards. Julian Alaphilippe does the same. Yep. Van Aert is doing the lion's share of the work, and I don't know for how much longer he'll be happy with Julian Alaphilippe doing just that. Wout van Aert, though.
750 metres to go from this corner.
Mathieu van der Poel is on the front, but he's not the Mathieu van der Poel of the Amstel Gold Race. He is on the front of this group, but he is not hammering it as he was on that great day of racing last year in 2019. He's reluctant to drag this great big group over across to Julian Alaphilippe and Wout van Aert. There they are now, Just a few hundred metres to go as they'll turn eventually onto the Via Roma and line themselves out. There's Wout van Aert, there's Julian Alaphilippe. Watch them come, watch them come. It's Bahrain Merida trying to close the gap. Philippe Gilbert is on the wheel of Matej Mohoric. Gilbert perfectly placed now, if he can, to try and win that elusive monument that has evaded him to this point. The monument man himself, Gilbert, sitting on the wheel, feels he has to go. He's going a long way out. Julian Alaphilippe, though, trying to attack Wout van Aert. Van Aert and Alaphilippe locked together. The battle is going to be between them. Alaphilippe, Van Aert, side by side and crossing the line together. Van Aert with his arms in the air. Van Aert takes it, we think. We'll have to have a look at the finish, but I think Wout van Aert got the better of Julian Alaphilippe.
The bunch being led by the Koenig, Quickstep, Movistar and Jumbo-Visma. Several moves going clear. Tosh van der Sande here. Also with Florian Seneschal, Sonny Colbrelli, but the bunch were chasing hard behind, being led by Primoz Roglic. Also there Alejandro Valverde and Tom Pidcock, who took victory in Brabantse Pijl. We had another attacker. Ida Schelling went clear for Bora Hansgrohe, catching two of the previous riders from the breakaway, but his tenure out in front was not to last too long. The final ascent of the Kauberg saw problems for Primoz Roglic, who suffered a mechanical at the most inopportune moment, with their attacks up front from Julian Alaphilippe, who went clear, taking with him Tom Pidcock, Michael Matthews and Wout van Aert, but he faded over the top of the climb, and an elite group of riders went clear, including three from the Ineos Grenadiers. Kwiatkowski, Carapaz were there, Schachmann, Michael Matthews also in the mix. But look at the damage behind. The last rider across to this group was Alejandro Valverde, only a week away from his 41st birthday. Former winner Michał Kwiatkowski then went clear, but meanwhile Alaphilippe was dropping back, starting to struggle under the load of this difficult race. Then Tom Pidcock went clear as soon as Kwiatkowski was caught. Tom Pidcock surged clear in the form of his life at the moment. He drew with him Wout van Aert and also Max Schachmann, and the three was soon to open up a lead that would take them into the finish. The chase behind being led by the Israel Startup Nation in a bunch that was reduced to only around 40 riders. With 1 kilometre to go, coming into the finish, it was Tom Pidcock who led things. Schachmann there in second position. And with only just under 200 metres to go, it was Wout van Aert who opened up the sprint. Surging clear, opening up a small gap on Tom Pidcock. Schachmann was distanced with about 75 metres to go. Pidcock tried to come round the Dutchman, lunged at the line. So close, difficult to call. The bunch sprint being led home there by Michael Matthews. But in the end, the photo finish revealed that it was Wout van Aert who took the win. But just look how close that was. An absolutely nail-biting, scintillating finale there. It was that close.
16 riders in the lead with 5 minutes in hand over the peloton, and going on to the climb from Sceaux for just the second time in Tour de France history. Alaphilippe on the hunt for more King of the Mountains points and upping the tempo around halfway up the climb. Only 6 riders were able to stay with him: Van Aert, Bernard, Elisson, Perez, Luc Durbridge and Sandro Merisa. Just before the summit, Malema managed to drag his way back into the lead group, making it 8 men up at the front.
There goes Julian Alaphilippe. Does he fancy some polka dots? He's going to give it a go. Alaphilippe reaches the top of the Ventoux for the first time. 10 points in the pocket. Huge attack now. This is Kenny Elisson, the Frenchman, as he goes clear now on the lower slopes of the Mont Ventoux. And here goes Wout van Aert as he attacks Alaphilippe and he attacks Bauke Mollema. Wout van Aert dreaming of a stage win in the Tour de France. But the best form of defence is to go on the attack. Here goes the white jersey. Jonas Vingegaard goes on the move. What has this young Danish rider got in the legs? Carapaz and Uran don't have the response. Jonas Vingegaard has cracked Tadej Pogačar on the climb of the Mont Ventoux. This is the crest of the Mont Ventoux for the second time. Wout van Aert goes over the top, gets himself set. The stage win is down at the bottom of the descent. Wout van Aert is going to ride in here to the race finish with an emotional moment. He turns around, he gets himself set with a 32.5 kilometre lone breakaway. It's 4 wins in the Tour. Wonderful Wout. La Patrouille de France from the French Air Force.
The first escapees were brought back with 30k remaining before more riders had a go. The 3 leaders only managed to pull 20 seconds or so clear. Ineos Grenadiers tried a late move, but the writing was on the wall. It was going to be another one for the fast men.
Wout van Aert is alongside Mark Cavendish. They're going to get set for this final run into the finish line. Who is going to take it round this final turn? It's not the same as it always is. Here we go, we get set.
There are 2 Deceuninck quick-step riders in the front with Van Poppel in between them. Mark Cavendish is a little bit further back. He is on the wheel of Wout van Aert. Where is Morkau?
Here we go now. Cavendish almost hits the wheel of Wout van Aert. You can see him trying to work his way through. 500 metres to go. Morkau is not there. Cavendish is on the wheel. Here goes the team of Jumbo-Visma with Wout van Aert. Cavendish is ready to strike. Philipsen is there. Cavendish surfing the wheels. Moving up on the right-hand side. Here comes Cees Bol. It's Jumbo-Visma. Wout van Aert strikes. Cavendish gets ready. He has to freewheel. Philipsen is there as well. Cavendish can't get through. He's going to come very late. Who's going to get it? Photo on the line. Wout van Aert wins the stage for Belgium.
Onto the Berendries. Tish Benoot coming alive. The race being ripped to pieces. And with just over 30 kilometres to go, Jumbo-Visma were up for the fight. But so were the Ineos Grenadiers. Tom Pidcock, Jonathan Narvaez, and with Wout van Aert in the front, Sonny Colbrelli knew he had to get across. The group was about to grow, and it meant that Quick-Step Alpha Vinyl, Trek Segafredo and UAE Emirates had to chase. But Wout van Aert had other ideas, not just wanting to ride away in a group. He was happy enough to let Tish Benoot go on the attack. The man from Ghent on fire, as he was the first into Herausberger, onto the Vesta, and then up the Muur. But by the time he got to the top, the chapel with its bells ringing, the fans back on the side of the road, the race returning to its people, the action was kicking off behind. A narrow gap for Benoot over the top, but it wasn't going to stay that way for too much longer. Mohoric in the chase, Van Aert still hovering around for the revamped Jumbo-Visma Classics lineup. By the time Benoot was caught, they were approaching the Bosberg, the final climb of the day, and just before they got to the cobbled section on the long, straight and hilly road, Wout van Aert again put the power down. Victor Campenaerts, despite all of his problems, really tried hard to follow. But follow he couldn't. And over the top it was 6-7 seconds for Wout van Aert, with the rest really hurting. His spring started with day 1 and riding away to win 1. Half a minute with 4Ks to go. Records and sequences put to the end in true Wout van Aert style. The first race winner of the Omloop at Nieuwsblad without previously having raced for 42 years. And the first winner in the Belgian champs jersey since Etienne de Wilde 33 years previous.
Underway for Wout van Aert, the green jersey, and no holding back for him, immediately into his stride, sprinting his way out. Wout van Aert is on the course. Wout van Aert reaches the next intermediate split. This rider is ripping his way across France's time trial. The speed you can just see. Let's see what the time is going to be as he goes through 53.2 kilometers an hour. Wout van Aert is 23.4 seconds faster than the world time trial champion. Sprinting now for all he is worth. Is this going to be another stage win? The world champion watches on as the green jersey doesn't just smash the time, he knocks it into another stratosphere. He can celebrate, he can soak it all in. The crowd warmly welcoming the yellow jersey, who will ride tomorrow into Paris as the winner of the 2022 Tour de France. Jonas Vingegaard finishes second on the day. Wout van Aert congratulates him. He gave him a little bit of a shake.
And when they hit the climb that's famous for being Tom Bonen's playground previously, it was Van der Poel who blasted off. The breakaway brought back all 5 riders who were up their court. Van der Poel at the front of the race, and Wout van Aert had to follow. He managed to do that, and then Tadej Pogačar also turned up on his E3 debut. There was wind about as well to complicate things, and teammates in the front group, so Søren Kragh set off in support. Nate Verhooydonk joined Søren Kragh, and Matej Mohoric was there too. And then we got to the Stationsberg. Crashes for Seneschal and Van Baarle. But it was Act 2 in the battle between Van der Poel and Van Aert. Pogačar didn't want to miss out and he'd get involved. And suddenly there were 6 at the front. Still, just under 60 k's to go at this point. Pogačar then put on the pressure on the Paterberg. All 6 were just about together when they started the Oude Quaremont. But that would not last long. Pogačar going with the first pedal stroke on the Quaremont. And this time, definitively this time, Verhooydonk would lose control, as would Kragh, and Mohoric ridden off the wheel. But Wout van Aert as well. 2, 3 wheel lengths opened up, and he had to fight through the crowds and the small town of Quaremont before he came back on towards the top. In the Harelbeke, the trio would conserve a decent advantage. Enough for Pogačar to then try and attack with 1.5 k's to go. Nothing to break any of his opponent's resistance, however, and the 3 came to a final sprint. Van der Poel is looking at Van Aert. On paper, on his day, the fastest of the 3, waiting at the back. But we know that Van der Poel has the form. They have the time gap now. They have the seconds, and it's Pogačar who launches the sprint early. Pogačar trying to surprise them. Van der Poel coming through the centre. Van Aert hitting the front now on the right-hand side. It's Wout van Aert trying to defend his title. It's wheel to wheel. It's a big battle, but it's Wout van Aert who wins it. Wout van Aert, the first man to defend his title here in over a decade. 3 cobbled races in Belgium for Jumbo-Visma. Win number 3 in E3.
Even on the first climb, it all kept coming back together, and the relentless pace saw lots of riders going backwards. One man was clearly on a mission though, and that was Wout van Aert. After a host of attempts, the Belgian got a small gap with Marc Soler and William Junior Lasserre. They reached the summit a few seconds clear of the peloton. The peloton easing off again as the gap crept up to over 6 minutes on the Alto de Villachan. The 5 escapees set to battle for the stage honours. There wasn't much to report on the next climb, and the leaders were soon approaching the intermediate sprint. Van Aert was obviously targeting the 20 points for the green jersey, but he was also starting to think about the stage win as well.
Wout van Aert wants to try and take the 20 points here by a clear margin. Well, this is a bit of a sneaky move from Wout van Aert. Everyone just expected him to go for the intermediate sprint into Aberroca and take the 20 points available towards that green jersey that he has on his shoulders. He extends his lead. He's now got 223 points in that green jersey classification.
Only Pache had enough power to follow Van Aert onto the final climb. Soler and Lasserre fighting to close the gap. Soler and Holman would catch Lasserre and fight for the minor places, but all eyes were on Van Aert versus Pache.
Quentin Pache is being forced to lead it out. He wanted to try something from a long, long way. He seems confident in his abilities. He's going to hold the right-hand side of the road, but immediately with the big acceleration, it's Wout van Aert who comes into Bayona. 1 bike length opens up to 2, and Wout van Aert is going to make it 3 victories in this year's Vuelta a España, 12 Grand Tour stages to his palmares, and after 134 kilometres in the breakaway, it's Wout van Aert who wins for Visma Lease bike.
Strong wind and bright sunshine and occasional drops of rain on the course today. The attack started pretty much straight away as the race then went on to the first of the gravel sectors. The pace really high as the peloton entered, 1.5 minutes behind. Wout van Aert driving things on the first of 5 gravel sectors. Caden Groves still at the front of the group that started to disintegrate off the front of the race, losing Luc Lamperty. And straight away, Diego Ulissi in the Maglia Rosa on the back foot and conceding time. It was Quentin Hermans and Caden Groves who went off the front, and then Lucas Hamilton crashing, and Tom Pidcock and Primož Roglic caught out, and both of those riders, along with Brandon McNulty, crashing too. That left a group off the front featuring Isaac Del Toro of UAE Team Emirates and Egan Bernal with 2 teammates, including Brandon Rivera. Then Primož Roglic, already delayed, got a puncture which left him further off the back. Tom Pidcock also battling to try and work his way through the groups and back up to the front of the race. Juan Ayuso and all the other main contenders were in a group at 49 seconds that started to disintegrate under pressure from Ayuso, who closed the gap to his teammate Del Toro to around about 41 seconds. But at the front, Brandon Rivera, with Egan Bernal to look after, was still driving things on to the benefit of Isaac Del Toro and Wout van Aert, who found himself in the front group. And at the very front of the race, Isaac Del Toro and Wout van Aert then on the final gravel sector, duelling it out for victory and going clear. That dispensed with Matthias Vacek and Egan Bernal, who by now had burnt through all his domestiques, and Isaac Del Toro really tried at this point to distance Wout van Aert. And into Siena eventually, and onto the famous Santa Caterina climb. The steep slopes, which of course Wout van Aert knows so well, having raced to victory in Strade Bianche here 5 years ago in the COVID pandemic of 2020. Isaac Del Toro turning the screw and trying to drop Wout van Aert. Van Aert glued to the wheel of the young Mexican. The closer they got to the top of the climb, the more Del Toro tried to drop Van Aert, who stuck to him limpet-like, and they took the turn together. The famous right-handed turn. It's gone so deep, and Del Toro now might have a massive problem, and it's yellow, and it's called Wout van Aert. Van Aert now hitting the front. Del Toro threw everything at him. He objects to Wout van Aert taking his line, but Van Aert is trying to hit him while he's down and ride away on this descent to the line that he knows so well. Van Aert takes the racing line, takes the lead, looks round, checks, and sprints round the final series of turns with 200 metres to go to a victory that will please the cycling world, who feared for Van Aert over recent weeks and months. Del Toro, though, not out of it as Van Aert skirts with disaster on that corner, sprints for the line and takes the win he has yearned for week after week and months of suffering. Van Aert, a winner at the Giro d'Italia in the Piazza del Campo.